Niners play Eagles in more than a week. The Eagles have a game this weekend. They got to go through Buffalo. Is that correct?
Buffalo Sunday at home.
Okay, so they got to play Buffalo. Who knows who's going to get hurt?
Spread, by the way. Very bizarre spread.
They could lose that game, and then they got to host the Niners. This is the Niners Super Bowl before the Super Bowl. How do you guys see this one going down? When the schedule came out, I picked the Eagles to win this game, but now we're here. What do you see?
Well, it's going to be a tough game. I mean, this just in. I mean, to me, it's really about can Feliciano and McKivitz stand up to Hassan Reddick and Fletcher Cox? Because that's a big part of it. And can the Niners do a good enough job on defense to keep the Eagles out of 3rd and 3? The Eagles at 3rd and 3 are in 4-down territory unless they're inside their 20. And It's hard to stop them from making 3 yards on 2 downs. So you got to win on 1st and 2nd down against them. They won't have Goddard. But the Niners are peaking on D. And let's be honest, this Eagles offensive line is really beaten down the 49ers. Well, the Niner D-line got Hargrave and now comes in playing good ball. So we're going to find out. But to me, it's all about 1st and 2nd down. And then you got to keep them out of 3rd and 3. And then if they get to short yardage, here comes the tush push between Kelsey and Dickerson on that in the A gap right there on the left side of the line. And can the Niners stop it? But it's a line of scrimmage game, and it's also a big turnover game. And I think the other wrinkle I'm really eager to see in this game is the Eagles did not react at all to Kyle Shanahan's play action game. The play action game is a central part of Kyle's game.
They blew right past it.
You know what? The teams that I've seen beat the Eagles don't mess around with the play action game. They go with the short passing game, and the ball gets out quick. So I don't know if I'm Kyle, if I want to run a lot of play action fakes, because Hassan Reddick you're just giving him an extra second to get to the quarterback.
No, I think he should. I think you should block him with Charlie Warner. Do it with your backup tight end. It's a great idea. It's a perfectly sound football play.
Hey, Charlie Warner's at least blocking. Then don't do it with Tyler Kroft, I think is the answer.
Do it with Ross Dwelly.
Yeah.
Coach, what you like? What do you see in this matchup?
I'm looking for the Niners to win. I think this is 1A versus 1B. Let's be real, man. We're this deep into the season. Right about now, the only teams that are really going to give the Niners true issues when they're playing hard, right? When the Niners are showing up to play and have effort, all right, you're going to have to play against a team that can match up against our guys and make us play matchup football, where really it's going to be up to the players on the field, because you can't scheme open certain things. I feel like the Eagles are the team that can match up with all of our weapons across the board defensively, offensively, on the line. They're better than us. Let's just face it. We're going to have to really see what we're going to do on offense against that front, against that Eagles front. Now, that Eagles offensive line versus our front, I'm looking for us to actually kind of be better than them. And I felt that way last year, but they were able to really hunker down and just run the ball against us. And we really didn't get them in any favorable situations because of what happened to Brock so early in the game. But I do believe that our defensive line is a little bit more athletic than their offensive line. They don't have to be as big as them if you can run them. If you can outrun them and you're just as strong and dynamic, you don't have to be as big as an offensive line. And that's the thing. I do believe that the Eagles, they may have tilted a little too heavy on size and physicality, where we can be able to use that against our advantage, because we're definitely fast and a quick defensive line. Now, we also have depth. I'm looking for Jalen Hurts to be pressured, because that's when you start to see the mediocrity out of Jalen Hurts, is when he's under pressure. He turns into a completely different quarterback when you're able to affect him, especially get him out of the pocket. So for us, I'd like to see what we started seeing in the last couple of games. Coach Wilkes starting to mix up a lot of pressures, dropping D linemen out of A gaps, bringing up corners. Another adjustment that I love that Coach Wilkes has made is moving Ambry Thomas to the outside and bringing in Diamador Lenore at the nickel spot. That's going to be huge for us, just for simple fact that, yes, Diamador Lenore is clearly a bigger and a physical corner than Ambry, but also he's kind of the sweet spot in what Isaiah Oliver didn't give us. It's not the fact that Isaiah Oliver was missing so many tackles, but now that you see Diamador Lenore at that nickel spot, you start to see at how many tackles Isaiah Oliver wasn't even flat out attempting. Right, just because of his lack of athleticism at the position. I feel like that is what has sped us up on the defense, speeding us up internally. So that's going to be something that I really see that we're going to be able to take advantage of Philly to have that interior speed at the nickel position.
One thing I'm looking at with this from the last matchup, Niners did a good job against Jalen Hurts in the last matchup. What they didn't do a good job of was stopping the run. They gave up 148 yards on the ground and 4 touchdowns. 4 rushing touchdowns. And that was when they had Miles Sanders, who's not good. Now they have DeAndre Swift, who is good. And the Niners have had some issues stopping the run this year. They had no issue yesterday because Zach Charbonnet, God love you, UCLA, he's not explosive. They should have been using DJ Dallas. They gave him 2 carries, and I was like, oh, okay, there's your running back. And then they didn't go back to him. I don't know. I think this is going to be a real test of the Niners' run defense, which has been shaky. Like they shut down Travis Etienne, they shut down Rashad White, and they shut down Zach Charbonnet. Okay, like cool. But you've had some bad games, and now you got to shut down like a team that really runs the ball.
That's true.
So I want to like the offensive line blew you off the ball. You remember those clips last year? I'm not going to mention who was it getting just moved out of the frame, but you remember that stuff. And the Niners have a lot to prove. And frankly, from the matchup last year wasn't about the running backs. It was about the offensive line, manhandling the Niners defensive line.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They're coming after Hargrave. They know Hargrave. They're coming after Hargrave.
And Sirianni feels, and they feel like we're imposters. They feel like they are the true physical team in the league, and that they get it done in a better way than we do. So, I really want to see Kyle outcoach this guy. I mean, if there's anybody, I mean, I used to think that Kyle's smugness got on my nerves, but this guy,
Sirianni,
this guy, bro, like
you're talking trash wearing a visor.
Bro, I thought that Kyle was an issue, like character-wise. Like, I'm like, God, this guy, he's not my cup of tea. Kyle is like Gandhi compared to their guy. Like, looking into the camera. Did you see him after the Chiefs game yelling at the fans?
Yes.
I don't understand that
kind
of behavior, man.
Like,
but it was
he
was like yelling at the fans, but he was in the tunnel. So it was like he wasn't really yelling at the fans. He was just doing it for the camera. Again.
Yes.
Again, so weird.
I don't get this dude, man.
He's
like
just so smug and
stuff like that.
Like,
he's very smug. He's very smug. And if you ask me,
he plays well in Philly, though.
Oh, they love him. Supposedly he listens to "No Easy Way Out" from Rocky IV.
I love that song.
No shortcut home. So
there's no easy way out.
I mean, there's no shortcut home. And they're imaginary heroes. Like,
so he's like their Rocky coach. Okay, so is anyone picking you're picking the Niners to win? Are you picking the Niners to win?
I'm definitely picking the Niners to win. I picked the Niners to win early in the year. A lot of people pointed to this stretch as the hard stretch, and I wasn't buying it. I think they own Seattle, and I think the Niners are going to fire. The Niners don't lose typically when they fire. They lose when they don't fire. They're going to fire in this game. I really do. But the question is this. Who's more fired up for this game? Because the Eagles, the Niners have circled it. The Niners have circled it, but the Eagles also and their fans feel like the Niners disrespected them by saying that they would have won. And
we didn't really give them the win. That's true. That's true.
Right. So
that's
they
true.
feel like
the Super Bowl. They just beat the Chiefs. Like that's their game. Because that's the team they have the biggest rivalry with. They lost to the Chiefs.
But we have something in common, Iggy, is that we both lost to the Chiefs, right? So really, the Chiefs can look at both of us like, whatever, guys, handle it and then get back to us. But
that's true.
The real game between them is that even though they beat us, what annoys them is that they even know that they didn't get the best of us. They even know it. So in a way, they're trying to say, no, bring them back. Bring them back. And we want Brock to be here. Bring
to
them
their
back.
credit, though, and this is one more thing I want to mention about this match before we move on. It wasn't just that the Eagles ran at will on the Niners. It's that they got like pressure on, I think, 60% of the Niners dropbacks. So, yeah, they knocked out Brock Purdy, and maybe that was a fluky injury, but then they knocked out Josh Johnson, too. And I don't think that it's hard to win a game when you're under pressure 60% of the time you drop back. So I want to see if the Niners can, fix that. And you mentioned it earlier. Stop with the play action approach. It's not going to work in this game. You got to have a quick passing game, and I think the Niners do. So
I think the Niner defense is peaking at the right time too. Yeah. So I think that's going to be key. I can't wait to see this game because, the other thing I think is really vital. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I think the 49ers have some doubt whether they can go into Philly in the cold weather, with the playoffs on the line and win that game. And whether the Niners win this game or not, a return trip to Philly in the playoffs is likely. So I think the Niners need this emotionally and mentally just to know in their mind that, if they get into that game, they can win that game. I think there's some doubt until you actually do it. I think there's some doubt whether you can or can't. I think what would make this season unbelievably interesting is if the Niners went in there and routed. That would make this very interesting because then, the Eagles still probably could wind up with a home field advantage and the Niners would have to roll back in there. And to me, if the Eagles rout in this game, the rematch is it almost feels like a coronation for the Eagles. But if the Niners win the game or win it convincingly, man, we're setting up one of the highest rated TV playoff games in NFL history.
But what I'm expecting is a close game, which is nice because the Niners haven't been in many of those, and the ones that they have been in, they've lost. So this feels like the real test for the Niners. They should, I don't know what word you want to use, could win, should win, but it'll be maybe a different type of win for them, coming from behind, winning late. That'll be interesting. If they win this game, it's going to feel like a big statement for them.
No doubt.
I don't know if it's the same statement for the Eagles.
Are they mature enough for the win? Right? Because in so many ways, this is the bad side about not getting closure. Because it seems as though we didn't have the closure off of how we lost to Philly. Could we kill ourselves by winning this game and then having an emotional letdown because essentially we just won our Super Bowl?
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Because it reminds me of the 95 coach. It reminds me of 95 Niners Cowboys. Niners beat the Cowboys in Dallas with Gerback. And that Dallas team then circled the wagons and went on and won the Super Bowl with Switzer.
Yeah. When you lose to Elvis Gerback, that's tough.
So that's my thing. It's like, even when we win this one, are we going to still have the fire enough to say, okay, now we're not done now. Now we got to go finish. Right. Because that's like to see really, this is the real perfect issue for us is that now we really have to finish because if we beat the Eagles, now it's going to be like, all right, well, you can't lose to them again. You got to beat them now. It's really Super Bowl or bust now.